Kelsey Zeiser. We're here at the Fiber Connect event in Nashville, and I'm joined by Julie Kunstler with Omdia. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, and we were just talking off camera that we kind of match a little bit, but we didn't plan it.
Correct.
Yeah, we look great, I think. So you recently worked on a report with your colleague Jamie about OneGig services. What are your thoughts on new opportunities for service providers as more broadband products are released? Maybe things get a little more cost efficient. What's going on there?
Sure. So we have been tracking the service levels, bandwidth levels that service providers around the world are offering their subscribers. And we've definitely, over the last couple of years, seen a significant uptick in 1 gig. And we're not saying that every home needs 1 gig bandwidth, but what it shows is that bandwidth is very much on the minds today of subscribers at home. You know, we have the pandemic was the cause of this, that many subscribers from home began to see problems as they were working from home, studying from home, trying to entertain the kids from home. So 1 gig has become a marketing standard that service providers have got to be able to support, whether or not every subscriber takes it, whether or not every subscriber needs it. From the service provider perspective, they have to continue to offer superb quality of service, quality of experience to their broadband subscribers. And they also have to look for new revenue streams, whether it's things like managed Wi-Fi, so that the at-home experience is as good as it in every room of the house as it is in the living room, for example. They also can add security services. There's a whole lot of at-home services that service providers are looking at. It's very culturally specific. You know, for example, security speaks more to certain subscribers in certain countries than it will to others. So subscribers have to know their customers, what their customers want, what they think their customers are going to want. You know, I'm sure that you've heard a lot about gaming and the bandwidth and latency and jitter requirements that high-end gaming or gamers want. So there's a lot of different types of services that we're seeing that do need a good bit of bandwidth. Again, they may not need 1 gig, but service providers want to build a network that they don't have to constantly upgrade. And that's certainly something you hear around here talking to the operators. They want to build it once, they want to build it correctly, and they don't want to have to keep upgrading it.
Yeah, there's some really interesting points. I know in my own house, there's certain areas where, if I go on the deck, my signal's not so good.
Yeah.
So I can understand that from a consumer standpoint of wanting that ubiquitous service. And that's really interesting. You mentioned the different cultural requirements for different subscribers about, some wanting security. I hadn't really thought about that, but it makes a lot of sense that there's different features that they're looking for.
Yeah, and some of the equipment vendors on the trade show floor here make it really easy, for example, for their customer, the service provider, to say to their customers, you can add cameras, security cameras around your house, and it fits into the same network, the at-home network, and you can control those cameras from your at-home network application without having to readjust anything or watch. You don't have to be an engineer to get it to work together anymore. Where I would say 10, 15, 20 years ago, you pretty much had to be an engineer to get all the devices in your home to work the way you wanted them to work.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've seen them popping up a lot more in my own neighborhood as people are doing renovations.
Right.
I see them on the exterior of the home. We've installed some, and it is, like you said, it's super easy to do. So how do you feel like, we've heard a lot of talk this week about federal funding. How is that investment impacting 1 gig services?
Sure.
Or perhaps in the near future.
Right. So we're living in a very special moment regarding this federal funds. Many other countries have looked at broadband as being a national competitive advantage. We're finally at that point in the United States where a tremendous amount of funding is going to broadband to connect the underconnected and the non-connected. And we all heard these horrible stories during the first part of the pandemic where teachers would be in their car in freezing weather outside of a school library to try to pick up a Wi-Fi signal, let alone what the students were going through, or did the students even have the equipment to be able to study from home. So this funding is really very, very special. There's a lot of work that has to be done to get it to do what it's supposed to do, and a lot of work is going on between different parts of the ecosystem at the show to make sure that it's executed well and it delivers. Service providers are saying, okay, what types of services can I now offer? It doesn't have to be OneGig. For someone who's been on 3 megs, 100 megs is wow. And 100 megs symmetrical means that there are people those subscribers at home can be on conference calls, video calls, without any problems. And and you think about it in our inflationary time right now with gas prices, if you can work from home and save fuel, you'd be happy to not have to fill up your gas tank every week, right? And make it every other week or once a month if you're lucky enough to do that. So it really does matter to people. And so broadband at home, it's not just about video games. It's not just about over-the-top movies that you can't get on your regular channels. It really impacts the quality of life that people have in terms of commute times, in terms of being able to study from home, and I would say even start businesses from home. There are a lot of people who run small businesses, and can they do it from home? And it can make a big difference in your quality of life working from home.
A lot of different use cases and
Yes.
needs there for sure. And I know you're also going to be moderating a panel on cable and fiber opportunities. What are some of the challenges for the hybrid fiber coax companies as they're looking to move into the fiber to the home game?
Sure. So in the United States, the cable operators absolutely dominate in terms of millions of households. They are the #1 supplier of broadband to the home in the United States. They've done very, very well supporting households with broadband. When we go back many, many years, the cable infrastructure was not made to support broadband. They've made it work supporting voice and supporting broadband. So billions of dollars have been invested in the cable plant over the years, and they're continuing to do upgrades. But some of them are facing competition from they're facing fiber competition, either from telco operators that are offering fiber now, or from overbuilders or different types of municipalities or utilities that are doing fiber. So they know that they have to continue to push fiber deeper, and in some cases fiber all the way. But it's not so simple. Some of it's because of the huge investments they made that they want to continue to have return on investment. And some of it's simply that they're very well versed. They understand coax networks. They understand a lot about node splits and reaching subscribers at very long distances on an HFC network. And now they have to learn about fiber all the way. So one whole issue that they're facing, besides the cost of fiber all the way, is educating their workforce, their workers, everyone, whether it's their network engineers, whether it's the technicians that come out to the house, they have to learn a brand new field, and it's called fiber all the way. So it's not an easy path for them. So one of the things that we're discussing on this panel called Fiber and Cable, or Cable and Fiber, is how do you continue to upgrade your cable plant, but planning for future fiber all the way? So how do you look at your investments today so that they can help you tomorrow? So for example, if you're putting in digital nodes, there's a number of vendors, and they're here, that enable you to add PON to a digital node. So that way you're going to be adding digital nodes as you upgrade your network, but how can you reuse that digital node to also support PON in the future, for example?
Wow. A lot of challenges there
Yes.
from the technology, infrastructure. You mentioned, skill sets, finding the right workers,
Right.
and we're all in the midst of this great resignation as well. That's a lot for them
It's a lot,
to
and you
handle.
want to keep your subscribers happy in the
Right,
meantime.
that too.
Remember, you've got revenue streams, and you have millions upon millions of broadband subscribers on cable.
Yeah, so no pressure for them.
Yeah, no pressure.
So we were also talking earlier about diversity of options, new equipment vendors
Right.
coming on the scene, and some new opportunities for new deployment strategies for service providers.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
So there's a tremendous diversity in the types of operators that are deploying fiber all the way, fiber to the home or fiber to the premise, whatever you want to call it. There's the municipalities, there's utilities, there's the small operators, there's larger operators, and that's on the telco, it's operators on the telco side, operators on the cable side. There's the alternative network operators, of which there are many in Europe, for example, especially in the UK, and also we're seeing now in Germany. So there's many different types of operators. And not every operator has the same strategy. Some of them have the strategy of, let's put fiber all the way in our new build areas, new housing developments or new business parks. Some say, I'm going to put it at the edge of my network and pick up subscribers that are just outside of my regular service areas. And some have plans to deploy fiber eventually everywhere in their network. So you see a lot of different strategies. You see some operators that are saying, I'm going to go immediately to XGS-PON or 10G PON at the network side because I know I won't have to upgrade that for the next 5 to 15 years perhaps, rather than using older technologies. And then you have vendors that are first of all, they see the opportunity, the booming opportunity for fiber to the home. And so from a market size point of view, they say this is a really good time for us to get into the PON equipment market. And some of them are choosing segments to get into. Some of them are very focused on cable. Some of them are focused on, let's reuse our metro equipment, such as switching and routing, and add PON capabilities there. And some are saying, we've done really well with traditional chassis approach to OLT solutions. We're going to continue to focus on that. So we're seeing a lot of diversity in terms of vendor strategies, which very much matches how the operators are looking at their opportunities.
Well, Julie, this has been really interesting. I really appreciate you speaking with me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.